morning. It's really lovely to be here with you, and I think to answer the most important question, first of all, is Redhead my real name? It is. People always wonder. My name is Angie Redhead. If it's because I have red hair, it is actually my real name. So it's really lovely to be here, and this morning I'm going to be talking about culture and the power of culture to be the rocket fuel to regeneration and innovation, and what's been achieved over the past 20 years in Liverpool specifically and the wider city region. So the Liverpool city region is made up of six boroughs, and probably I'd say before the past 2 years, each borough has acted independently of each other. Liverpool has been somewhat the attack brand. It's the city that is known internationally around the world. People recognise it because of the Beatles, because of the football club, even if they don't know much else about Liverpool. But the other five boroughs in addition to Liverpool have always somewhat been operating in a silo. But very recently, the power of six, as we call it, which I'll talk about in a little more detail, have joined together because the sum of all of the parts is good in the whole. So this is quite a recent thing. Liverpool City region is now promoted as a region, as a destination that has bespoke and unique selling points for each borough, but actually collectively is all the more powerful. So where did it start? And so I'm going to go back. I've been in Liverpool now. I was born here, but in the 80s, Liverpool, it was not a great city. People were leaving. They didn't see that there was a future here for them. I think it's important to know where we came from to understand the journey that we've been on to get to where we are now. So the 80s was quite a dark time in Liverpool. I left, I went to live overseas for almost 15 years and came back when Liverpool was awarded the European Capital of Culture. It's fair to say we were the underdogs in that competition. It was a real surprise to people. People's expectations of what Liverpool might achieve in its year as European Capital of Culture were quite low, really. And I think suffice to say that we're still here bigger, better, stronger, almost 20 years later is testament to the fact that we always knew in 2008 it was not going to be a one-year plan. It's not going to be a year of big set pieces and a big party, and then we would switch the lights off and go back to doing what we were before. We already knew that we would have a 10-year plan and that there would be a legacy of European capital culture. And here we are, actually, the legacy is 20 years and more. I think in a climate of financial challenge, particularly in local government, it's testament to the leaders of Liverpool and the city region that they still invest heavily in the power of culture and in culture. And we used it as the rocket fuel to regeneration. And linking to innovation and to skills, I think it's fair to say 20 years on, we've nurtured skills. You cannot be what you cannot see. For a whole generation of young people, they've seen that culture is a career choice, that hospitality is a career choice, particularly when I share some stats around how important the hospitality sector is in this region. But where did it start? So 2008, this is the event called La Machine, which was a giant spider that walked around the city for 3 days and popped up in some surprising places and took a shower and went to sleep on the side of a building. It was real immersive street theatre on a grand scale. Almost 1 million people came to see La Machine, and interestingly, it was the start of us understanding that the people of Liverpool and the surrounding region really connected with immersive theatre. And what we also realised is when you deliver events of scale without fences and without walls, organic, it feels very dynamic, even though, of course, there was a huge amount of planning that went behind us. So that was last year, 2008. That was where it started. And it led to this, which was the Giants. And the Giants, as we know, were colloquially visited Liverpool 3 times. And I think the people of Liverpool would happily see them come another 10 times. They've been so loved, and the story behind the Giants, whilst irrelevant and quite far-fetched in some ways, people just connected. They went with it. They just went with the magic of this story of a deep sea diver and his niece who'd sent him a letter, and the letter had floated to the bottom of the sea, and their uncle was returning that letter. And people cried when they saw these giants walking the streets, and they followed them for miles and miles and miles. And again, you could see no fences, no walls, no tickets, just come and enjoy the spectacle. Three Queens, Cunard and Liverpool have a deep affiliation that goes back 485 years. Liverpool was the birthplace of passenger shipping, and my background is maritime specifically. So this was an event that was really, really close to my heart, to celebrate 175 years of Cunard and passenger shipping and transatlantic trade, passenger crossings. The fleet of Cunard came to Liverpool for one golden hour on one golden day, and over 1 million people gathered on both sides of the Mersey City region to watch the fleet arrive back in their spiritual home as we saw it. It was a phenomenal day. 10 years on, people will still say Three Queens was one of the highlights of any event that the city has delivered. And it's fostered a really special relationship between Liverpool and Cunard that is now not just about looking backwards in history, it's about looking to the future. And just last year, we named Cunard here in Liverpool, but rather uniquely, Liverpool, the city, was named as the godparent of the ship, which is the first time ever a city has been a godparent to a ship. So she's ours and she sails the world, and Liverpool is with her wherever she goes. And we continue to work with Cunard because Three Queens, well, where do we go next? How do we go bigger than Three Queens? Well, hopefully one day, 4 Queens, we hope. So the impact really is it's tangible and it's non-tangible in many respects. Economic, that has been the driver of all of the major events that we've delivered. It's to drive spend into the city, it's to create bed nights in our hotels. And when I look back to the handful of hotels that we had 20 years ago to what we have now, and most recently our first 5-star hotel, it's fair to say that there are a number of sectors that drove that, but the cultural sector has given the city the confidence, and it's shown a side of Liverpool around the world that maybe is quite surprising to people. We're the third most recognised city in the UK after London and Edinburgh again, which is maybe when we've got really, really great competition within the cities in the UK. And community engagement and cohesion. I think this is one of the maybe surprising non-tangibles that boost to civic pride has really been quite incredible. And over the years, particularly that I was away overseas, I used to use taxi drivers almost as the barometer of how people felt about Liverpool, and it moved like an oil tanker turning in the river. Actually, it moved from, oh, well done, love, for getting out and getting away, to suddenly taxi drivers, without knowing who I was, who I worked for, speaking with real pride about Liverpool being a city that's on the up. This is our moment in the sun, and we will grab it with both hands and we won't lose it. And so I think that's been a really interesting journey. And now we're very much, if you're a visitor, as many of you in this room will be, I think that you'll get a real sense of that from anyone that you meet during the time here in Liverpool. And the city attractiveness, we've been quite clever. To investors, students and relocators, absolutely. But we have these big events and we have these big moments, and rather than them just be for people almost as a visitor attraction or a tourist attraction, we strategically position these events to coincide with big conferences or other big moments that are happening in the UK. We host the Labour Party conference here. We always make sure that there's a big flagship event that takes place. So we've been quite clever with that. Maybe it was never part of the original plan, but it's definitely evolved now, and vice versa. Big events happen, we make sure people know so they can strategically place their own events or conferences in the city at the same time. Students love Liverpool, and we found some years ago that they would love to learn in Liverpool, but not necessarily choose to live or work here, and they would move away, and we will use an awful lot of that knowledge. And whereas now we're seeing an absolute tidal shift. Sorry, I always have maritime references whenever I speak, trying to avoid them. That we've seen an absolute shift in that people are learning here, they're choosing to live and work here, the retention is really high. But the growth of the creative industries has been just massive. It's just been massive, particularly digital innovation. And I think again, that 20-year investment in culture, when I look at the events that we were delivering 20 years ago to how we deliver them now, more sustainably, more innovatively, more technology, more digital intervention and interaction, I think it's given those young people a vision of what they could be part of, but also that culture and the arts are a career choice. They're not hobby, they are a career choice, and that we can make a good life here in Liverpool and be part of this ecosystem. Because culture has always, regardless of the ups and downs that the city's been on over the last 2 decades, culture has been the one constant that we have never ever said or threatened or risked our cultural programme. And legislation, how culture can inform the way the city acts. And I think, I'm going to talk about Accelerate City in a moment. When you've got a million people coming to an event, that's a strong forum to key messages in a really gentle and subtle way, without people feeling that they are being told or instructed. And we use a lot of our events for those messages, whether it's health and well-being, tackling loneliness and isolation, whether it's public health, and equally whether it's about sustainability and delivering our events in a much cleaner way. We are now introducing legislation into our contracts, in our procurement programme and our land use agreements. And we're just at the beginning of that journey, but I think the next 5 years is going to be really interesting. I don't think we know what we don't know yet. So really looking forward to that. But what's it worth in monetary terms? Culture and visitor economy is worth over 6 billion to the city region. So this is no small money. And visitor numbers alone are over 60 million. That's bed nights, that's meals in restaurants, lattes in cafes, and jobs in the sector. This is really quite interesting. We've got 58,000 jobs in the sector, hospitality and tourism. COVID, as we've all experienced COVID, and in different ways, we really saw as a city the effects that COVID had not just on our population. There is quite a lot of deprivation in certain areas of the city, and we saw the impact of COVID. But equally, we saw, with over 60,000 people employed directly within hospitality and tourism, and that sector closed overnight. We saw the effect that would have. And so from an innovation point of view, and a creative point of view, and cultural point of view, Culture Liverpool, we strategied and we created a programme of activity that allowed culture and hospitality to continue on our streets. We called it Without Walls as a theme. We don't like walls on any of our events or activity. And we brought the inside, outside, and that, it's fair to say, saved Liverpool in many respects. But so did the role that we played in COVID, which I'll come on to in a minute. But what now? So we've got a well-established cultural sector, so that over 2 decades we've developed that. So what do we do next? Do we still keep doing the doing? A lot of our events were funded by the city region and by local government. That was never our plan. Our plan was always at some point to step away, was to develop those skills that are needed to deliver events, develop the competence, test the concept, prove the model way, and that we could step away from delivering the events and actually facilitate third-party private events, which is what we've done a lot. Eurovision, I hope this Eurovision thanks in this group because we absolutely love delivering it on behalf of Ukraine. That was always going to be our strapline. We are delivering this event on behalf of Ukraine. It's your party. It's just happening at our house. That was the whole thing, and we put Ukraine front and centre of everything that we did. And it's fair to say, Liverpool, again, another phrase that we used, Eurovision didn't change Liverpool changed Eurovision. That feeling of a host city. This is an opportunity to share your story and the experience with the thousands and thousands of people that attend Eurovision events, not just take a hold of they just come to the city. And it was amazing. And the strength of the partnerships that we've developed over 20 years, key stakeholders, whether it's the police, the fire, the ambulance, our cultural sector, and other partners, allowed us to deliver Eurovision in 7 months, which was typo, but we did it. Other third-party events that we delivered off the back of Eurovision, we started seeing people coming to approach us to say, well, we want to do an event here. We hosted Radio 1 Big Weekend just this summer, and we've delivered football parades galore over the years for Liverpool Football Club, and I'm sure we will do the same for Everton Football Club one day. We've got a well-established regional audience. They come on the journey with us. They never ever say, that's a bit bonkers what you're doing. They just go with it. And we still like to surprise. I still think we still do surprise. But we've got international reach and recognition as well. And when you hear the different accents and where people have flown from and the growth of Liverpool Airport, Manchester Airport. And I think, again, since COVID, crowd behaviour, and just people have changed. They want experiences, they want to feel things as well. And I think Liverpool has just always been well positioned to help people feel things. We wear our heart and our sleeve in our city, and we share that through our events. So 2025, we've just finished the River of Light event. We had 500 people attend, another free event without fences or walls, which are a series of light installations that are around key parts of the city. We're in year 7 of the River of Light, and we're at that point now where we either say, well, we either stop doing it and do something different, or we go bigger because people just love it. And I think we're probably going to go bigger. So watch this space for River of Light in 2026. I'm sorry, okay, apologies. So I'll just mention Accelerated City because we're a United Nations Accelerated City, which is we're the first city to be given this status because of the work that we do in the culture sector and in events, is to deliver events and activities like film and TV production as sustainable as possible. I could speak for hours, I won't, don't worry, about Accelerated City. It's been a challenge, and that's part of the lesson and part of the learning, that it's been more difficult than we expected without that leading time that we need to do it. But we will share all of our learnings with the United Nations so that the next city can be on the front foot. So what next? I won't go through all of these, but culture is not going anywhere in the city region or in Liverpool. We will go bigger. We've got 3 big years ahead of us in 26, 27 and 28 with things that we haven't revealed yet, but we'll soon reveal. But 2028 is looking to be as big as, I will say, again, in 2008, it marks 20 years of European capital of culture, so we can't not celebrate that with him. So thank you so much for your time.